Lydia woke up at 5:03 a.m. 3 minutes late. The day was already behind schedule. She reached for her phone. 17 productivity apps stared back at her. Task managers, time trackers, habit builders, focus timers. Each one promised the same thing: control. If she could just organize better, work smarter, squeeze more efficiency from every hour, she'd finally feel productive enough. She never did. This is a story about what happened when Lydia stopped chasing productivity and started chasing something else entirely. Lydia's calendar was color-coded: blue for deep work, green for meetings, red for personal development. Every minute accounted for. Her colleagues called her the productive one. Her boss loved her output. But Lydia had a secret. She was exhausted. Not the tiredness that comes from hard work, the tiredness that comes from never feeling like you've worked enough. She'd read all the books: Atomic Habits, Deep Work, the 5 a.m. Club. She'd implemented every framework: time blocking, Pomodoro technique, the 2-minute rule. And still, at the end of every day, the same question haunted her: did I do enough? The answer was always no. It was a Wednesday when something cracked. Lydia sat at her desk at 8 p.m. staring at her task list. 14 items completed, 6 remaining. She should have felt accomplished. Instead, she felt hollow. She'd been productive for 12 hours straight, and she couldn't remember why any of it mattered. That night, Lydia asked herself a different kind of question. Not, how can I be more productive? But, why am I doing any of this? The question stayed with her. Why? Not how to optimize, not how to work faster, but why she was working at all. When she looked at her task list through that lens, something became clear. Half of what she did every day didn't actually move her forward. It just kept her busy. And she'd confused busy with purposeful for so long, she'd forgotten the difference. Lydia decided to try something. For 1 week before adding anything to her schedule, she'd ask, does this help me grow or just help me feel productive? The first task she questioned was her morning routine. She'd been waking at 5 a.m. because all the books said to. But when she asked why, she realized she was doing it because someone else said it worked for them. It didn't work for her. So she stopped. She woke at 6:30 instead, got an extra 90 minutes of sleep, felt more focused all day than she had in months. The realization was uncomfortable. What if effort without direction was just noise? Lydia started paying attention to what she consumed. Not just food, information. The podcasts about crushing it and 10xing everything, they made her feel inadequate, not inspired. She stopped listening. The LinkedIn posts about 4 a.m. workouts and cold showers, they made productivity feel like punishment. She stopped reading. Instead, she found people who talked about sustainable growth, thoughtful progress, long-term thinking. The shift was subtle, but powerful. Every evening, Lydia started asking herself 3 questions. What gave me energy today? What drained it? And what's one small thing worth doing tomorrow? Not a task list, not a schedule, just clarity. Some days the answer was, read for 30 minutes. Some days it was, have a real conversation with someone. Some days it was, do nothing and rest. She stopped measuring productivity by output and started measuring it by alignment. Am I moving toward the person I want to become? That question changed everything. 6 months passed. When Lydia looked at her life, almost nothing looked the same. But one thing remained. She was still productive, just not in the way she used to be. Lydia still worked hard, but she worked differently. Her calendar had white space now, room to think, room to adjust. Her task list was shorter, but every item on it mattered. She said no to opportunities that didn't align with her direction. She said yes to projects that helped her grow. Productivity no longer felt like a race she was losing. It felt like a path she was choosing. Her boss noticed. "You seem different," he said one day. Lydia smiled. "I'm doing less. But better work," he replied. He wasn't wrong. With fewer tasks, Lydia could focus deeply on what mattered. Her work improved, her ideas sharpened, her impact grew. Not because she was busier, because she was clearer. One evening, Lydia realized something. She hadn't thought about motivation in weeks. She used to obsess over motivation, read articles about it, listen to speeches about it. How do I stay motivated? Now, she didn't need to. Because motivation wasn't the fuel anymore. Direction was. When you know why you're working, you don't need to force yourself to care. You already do. Lydia still had hard days, days when energy was low, days when focus was scattered. But she stopped treating those days as failures. They were just days, part of the rhythm. Productivity wasn't about perfect output anymore. It was about sustainable growth, connection to purpose, and the quiet confidence that comes from moving in the right direction, even if you're moving slowly. Lydia deleted 12 of her 17 productivity apps, kept the 5 that actually helped. Her morning routine wasn't from a book anymore. It was hers. Her goals weren't borrowed from someone else's definition of success. They were aligned with who she wanted to become. She'd stopped chasing productivity, and somewhere along the way, she'd found it. The fastest way forward isn't always running faster. Sometimes it's stopping long enough to ask, where am I actually going? And whether the path you're on will take you there. Some people mistake motion for progress. Lydia learned the difference, and everything changed. If this story resonated with you, there are more like it in our Mindset and Productivity playlist. Subscribe to Tales by Cathie for stories that help you find direction, not just discipline. What's one thing you're doing because productive people do it, not because it actually helps you grow? Share your thoughts in the comments below.